Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to Know Your Gear QA Live podcast number 203. Hope everybody had a good week. And I see there's already a bunch of you already on considering time zone changes. This happens every year. This was the $1 million question this week was, should we do what we've always done or should we try something new? Which is where I live in Arizona. It's one of the few places that doesn't do daylight savings. So 6 months of the year, I'm essentially 3 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And then 6 months of the year, I'm on Pacific Time. So, you know, it works itself out. But like I said, I was thinking about just picking like Mountain Standard Time and just sticking with that and changing it. But, you know, we'll see. Like I said, I hope everybody is ready for some guitar talk. If you're new to the show, a couple things to know. If you're going to try and ask me a question or try to start a subject with me, please start with question marks first so I know you're talking to me. Otherwise, please feel free to talk amongst each other. If you're listening and streaming it on Spotify, iTunes, and all the places that people stream the podcast, thank you for joining. And if you're watching the rebroadcast on YouTube, I timestamp all the questions and subjects so that you can go to anything that's maybe interesting or maybe just get right to the point of something you're interested in. Station Unrest says, I really like the amp display. You know, that's the first time, isn't that silly? It's the first time I thought of it as a display. It literally is for function for me. There was no other way to do this. So I did it this way. So I'm going to say, yeah, it's a display. I think of the pedals as a display. Like those are definitely on shelves, just for no reason. That's, my pedal board is on the floor. That's actually purposeful. I need that. But I'm going to say it's on display. I just never thought of it that way. So yes, enjoy the amp display as you will. So, what else? What else do we got going on? I know we have some super chats. I already seen that. I already have some early questions as well. Maybe we should get right to those. Let's do that. Let's get to some early questions. The first early question I saw was from Mr. Fancy Hands, and it says, hey, Phil, do you think modern Fenders are as good as or better than older models? I feel like aside from a vintage appeal, old ones have besides vintage appeal of the old ones, they have, in other words, modern guitars are surely better quality, ? Thanks, dude. That is an opinion that I also share. Mr. Fancy Hands, you and I would get along hanging out talking about guitars when it comes to the subject of Fenders. I can't say like a new one, like a brand new Strat today is better than one, let's say a year ago or so on. But yeah, when the appeal to the vintage Strat, we're not even talking about vintage being actual vintage. I'm talking about vintage reissue. When they make a Strat with a 7 1/4 inch radius, make it with a truss rod that I got to yank the neck off. First of all, let's start with this. I work on guitars every day. Part of the thing when you work on something is you tend to not appreciate things that are not easy to work on. And vintage Fenders are not fun to work on for me. Taking the neck off to make adjustments is just adding more time to the process, and you learn little tricks of the trade to get it done. But, do I like the new spindle truss rod wheel at the bottom, like Musicman's done for years? Absolutely. Do I love that? Absolutely. Having carbon fiber rods in the neck? Yes, so that when you adjust it, it's easier, it's better. Yes. Playability, I'm not a 7 1/4 inch fan. I only have one guitar that has 7 1/4 inch radius fretboard. It's my John Mayer Silver Sky, and that is the only thing I don't love about that guitar. And the main reason I think I have that guitar is because, you just want that vintage guitar because you want it, I guess. And the John Mayer Silver Sky is kind of like vintage, but modern. But yeah, I'm not a vintage player. I mean, to argue the sound of them, sure. But it's not my thing. However, I understand there's some players out there and they're going to be like, yeah, I love the way this feels. I love the, the soft V-neck, the V-neck. I'm not a huge fan of those. Not a huge fan of the 7.25-inch radius fretboards. I'm not a fan of vintage frets at all. In fact, every guitar that you've ever seen me get, that's probably a thing I think I'm 100% done with, which is vintage fret wire for me personally. Over the years of the channel, besides, just reviewing guitars for the channel, you've seen me maybe acquire a guitar and then immediately get rid of it. If you look back in the history of that, almost every time it's a vintage fret wire thing. I just can't get my hands to like that. I like taller frets. In fact, I like jumbo frets, big frets. That appeals to me. I have a light touch. It feels good. I don't squeeze too hard. It feels good to me. But I don't necessarily love 12-inch or 16-inch radius fretboards, so it's not like I'm looking for the modern thing. I like the 9.5 and 10. In fact, I think I maybe mentioned this. I'm having a Kiesel built right now, and that's what I requested. That was one of the upcharges that Kiesel offered, was a 10-inch radius fretboard. I've decided that's truly what I like. You know what I mean? Over the years, the last couple of years, reviewing guitars, like you guys watching my videos, I watch my own videos sometimes, and sometimes when I'm reflecting back, I go, why did I think that, or why did I do that, or why did I say that in that video? Because I don't feel that way now, or maybe I do, but where's the logic on that? And I've really come to this decision that there's certain things that I like about guitar brands, and one of them is I like the 10-inch radius fretboard. I think it's my favorite. It's just nice. It's like that compromise. Perfect. Not 9.5, not 12, right in the middle. But I've said this a million times. I'll say it again. I'm a fan of 9.5 and 12. So 9.5, 10, 12, those are my favorites. 16 starts getting a little too flat for me. I find that although I love Ibanez guitars and they have that flat radius fretboard, I don't play them that often because of that reason. And same with 7.25. I find that that's just where I found myself, where I like it. So to speak to your comment, yeah, I like the modern Strats a little more. When you're talking about quality-wise, sure, there's a lot of things that Fender has improved over the years, for sure. Really, in my experience of working on the guitars, and every brand comes into play in this, there are exceptions, of course, to every rule. But in my experience of literally the quality of guitars, what I find is the manufacturing quality has gone up over the years, but the materials have gone down in quality. And that makes perfect sense because think about this. Every manufacturer's goal for the most part is to cut their costs. I mean, it's just a business, an acumen for business. They just want to get their costs down. So obviously manufacturing costs decrease over years because when I mean decrease, I don't mean that they go down in price, but availability wise. In other words, the CNC machines that were expensive are less expensive. Technology goes down. It's more readily available. So what you'll find is I think manufacturing quality goes up because the availability of the technology to make good stuff goes down. But we also notice that as the material prices go up, cheaper materials find their way into guitars as well. So, and that's like I like the term a broad stroke. Sure, that covers 65-70% of them out there. There's exceptions to those rules as well. All right, the next early bird question came from Michael, who says, "Hey Phil, I got my 11th guitar last week. Well, according to my stats, you're 1.5 below the KYG average." Just kidding, man. All right. It says it's a Squier CV70 S Jaguar. It's a real nice guitar made in Indonesia. Nothing bad to say except for maybe I have a problem. ? He means buying guitars. Yes. But I love it and ordered my new 300K Know Your Gear shirt. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. You know what I mean? It's a great way to support the channel. And like I said, I'll be honest. I try not to think of myself. I try not to have any kind of ego. You try to say, check egos. I got to admit, I don't know if selling shirts is very exciting for me, but man, seeing people in my logoed shirt always has this, a very reaction. I have an immediate reaction to that. If you guys have seen my comments throughout the internet, anytime anyone just has one of my logos anywhere in a video, and I found it, I've always made a comment and talked about it because of the fact it's very exciting for me. It's still to this day. It's one of the few things that, as you do any job, there's certain things that just become old hack. Seeing somebody wear my logo or use my logo in some way, I don't know, it always has a kind of very kind of like exciting reaction to it. Like, oh, cool, it's mine. That's my stuff. Yeah. So thank you for that. Since we're talking about gear and getting too much gear gas, I don't know if you guys saw, I pointed out, I put a link down below, but I told you guys a couple weeks ago that I was being interviewed, and let me share with you this. That's not the right one thing we're going to share. This is what we got to share. So Business Week, Bloomberg Business Week, I was interviewed, as I told you. I was Josh Scott from JHS Pedals is in the article. Fluff is in the article. Fender, I think, Sweetwater, Reverb. The article is about, obviously, the market for musical gear is amping up like never before. Basically, it says that it's the article's premise is that the amateur musicians are powering the demand for both new and secondhand instruments. The thing I like about this, believe it or not, which is why I agreed. Let me get back to to me. Here I am. Let me tell you why when I got asked to do this article or be interviewed, why I said yes. I have felt, and this channel, and again, I don't want to be too campy and cheesy today, but maybe it's going to be that way for a few minutes, so indulge me, please. I have always felt, since the day I've found myself in love with music and the gear, the equipment that makes music, talking about it, I've always felt like this, I want to say a Trekkie fan. I mean no disrespect in that way, but I think Trekkie fans are kind of like most of us relate to the idea that, a Trekkie fan is a fan. It's an extreme person. A person's really into a thing. I'm really into music, for sure. I'm really into musical instruments and things that make music. And I found myself over the years just connected to it in so many ways, to the point where, is it an addiction? Yeah, I'm sure. Of course. I mean, not even, like I said, musical gear is not the addiction. Music is my addiction, and then everything that involves music. So, I mean, I think it would be uncommon to say that if you see a person out there that has this many amps and pedals and guitars, well, they have that many CDs as well. I have, cases and cases and cases of CDs and thousands of hours of music in hard drives. I mean, just literally like 4 terabyte hard drives just full of music. And the point and reason I tell you this is that when I think my only real critique of this industry is this industry, in my experience of it, is it disrespects and never has cared about us. I learned that as a customer of this industry. I learned that as a music store owner for over a decade dealing with this industry. And some of the things I can always point to as a point of reference is, when the store would do record numbers in my area, there was always this condensation. There was condensation dripping off the window. There was this condescending attitude that I would get from manufacturers and reps and people in this business. Well, yeah, but professionals don't buy your guitars at your store. It's all like the hobbyist, and I'm very clear about this. I don't know if I ever talked about this. The main success of my store was I was smart enough, and I should say smart enough. My partners, Ralph is my wife. We were smart enough to realize when I would walk into music stores, what I would see when I was in the music stores buying a lot of gear was there was a lot of people that were like me. They were just really into this. They had jobs working a lot of hours, and this was their outlet of their income. And working musicians, who are the backbone, of course, of the industry, they buy a lot of gear too, but it's very functionally different. It's not like collecting. And what's funny about this is when we opened our store, we strategically put my store next to Intel, the manufacturer. In fact, Microchip's another one. Our logic, I should say because we talked about this, our logic was, hey, it would be really cool if we were next to people like engineers with 6-figure salaries that can have a lot of disposable income to buy a lot of gear, because we're a business. And I want to sell product because that was the point of my business. And I want to sell lessons. That's why we had a large lesson academy. We had the largest lesson academy at one point for a long time in the state of Arizona because of the fact that, again, a lot of musicians, 30-year-olds, 40-year-old, 50-year-old musicians, wanting to take lessons and buy gear. The reason I'm going to this thing is because this is what this article kind of addresses. It's like, hey, it's a lot of the industry that's gear related lives on these hobbyists, but yet makes fun of them and slaps them in the face at the same time. To the point where I see it daily on YouTube. You see it. It's like, I deal with it now. I deal with it on YouTube as a platform. Here I am with, collectively between my platforms, I have 120 million views and streams. The podcast has 30 million streams. The channel has 80 million plus streams or whatever streams. Talking to you guys, hanging out. This live show is one of the larger live shows collectively we talk about every week, and yet I'm still dealing with manufacturers. I'm talking to them, kind of shunning the audience, you guys, slapping you in the face, saying, yeah, but it's really made of mostly hobbyists, right? And I'm not discrediting professionals by any means. I'm saying that we are the majority. We are buying the gear, and that's why I liked it when the reporter reached out to me and asked me if I would speak to this effect of what I thought about musicians, or I should say hobbyists, sitting at home during COVID and buying up gear. It's a good thing. It's what keeps this industry alive. You know what I mean? It's why we're the reason that signature guitars took off. Trust me. There's no question in my mind that that signature guitars by Eddie Van Halen, by Dave Sabo, by Yvette Young, we could go on for days, right? Sinister Gates, name your signature guitar. Clapton, sure, they're gobbled up by a lot of players, but mostly hobbyists. And I've said this a million times, and I always use Pete Thorne. I'll use Pete Thorne because I just like him so much. And as a person, when I watch him, I always thought he's really collectively a cool dude and very humble. Sure, he's a professional musician, but I think he's also a hobbyist too. I'm saying that about him. In other words, I think, sure, he buys gear and he has gear because he needs it for his job. But then there's also a part of him that just likes to talk about gear. And I say that because I've talked to him and I felt like talking to him, he wasn't like, yeah, I hate talking about this stuff if I'm not getting paid. That's not his attitude. He loves it, like all of us. So just check out the article. I thought it was something interesting. Thought it was something cool. And again, addressing this issue, it's something that I felt like this channel, I started from day one talking about is everyone is welcome here. And we're made up of all kinds. So, there's professional musicians. We've had professional musicians on the channel. There's touring musicians. There's hobbyists. There's people that know 3 chords. And you know what? And I don't want to shun anybody. That's why you've never heard me make any jokes about anyone's playing ability or anything like that. It's not because I want to be all lovey-dovey. It's because literally this industry owes you all a thank you. You're the customers that supported it. It literally lives off you because if it had to live off only the professional musicians, it would die immediately. They wouldn't need to make all this gear. That's for sure. So, all right. But of course, if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. Daryl Moore says, hobbyist or addict? Sure, of course. Why not? They can be one and the same. None of those words offend me. Addict, hoarder. Like, why are you hoarding all these amps? I don't know. I like them. I like playing through them. It's my joy. I don't understand there's no shame in this. I didn't steal any of this. I've committed no crimes. I've worked my day job, I should say. I worked my job. I've made my money. I bought the things that brought me joy. My children are fed. They have all their needs provided for. You know what I mean? I donate to charities. There should be no shame associated to any of that terminology. And it's fun. So, and I think I've said this before. No matter how much, like my Boss collection of pedals, I like Boss pedals, so I collect them. In fact, on a side note, I had a really fun, and then I'll jump off this subject. I had a really fun, very brief, short conversation once with John Five, and it was at this event he did for basically a charity event, and I loved it because I felt really connected in the idea that he loves Boss pedals because he said when he was younger, he couldn't afford them. They were boutique. And I said, yeah, that's why I collect Boss pedals too. Because to me, now it's funny, in a world of $200 and $300 pedals are sold like water everywhere. If you read that article, Josh Scott talks about how he went from $48,000 a year to $100,000 a year pedals last year. All these boutique pedals, yet these were the pedals I could never have. And literally I could buy 3 or 4 of these at a time for what one boutique pedal costs. And I enjoyed them. So Sean says, I'm just curious. He says, when you're rich, it's called collecting. When you're poor, it's called hoarding. Is that a thing? I don't know. One of the things I've never watched is any of these hoarding shows and stuff. It's never appealed to me. I'm not a big reality TV thing. So I don't know if that's like a comment to the reality thing, but I just thought I'd mention it. Nate wants to know, okay, so we're going to jump subjects. Nate wants to know, hey, does anyone know my thoughts on Sire guitars? I have a Sire L7. That video, I told Reggie would be next. It's literally, or the one after, it is within the next 2 videos you'll see on the channel. So yeah, you'll see that opinion soon. Let's see. Okay. Al says, my opinion on JHS pedals. I own 2 of them. And like I said, my favorite is the black box. Is that the black box? The little black box, which is what I use for my Marshall over there, or I'll use it on the Dirty Shirley, or my Archon in the effects loop. I use that one. I like JHS pedals. If I get another JHS pedal, it will be the Bonsai. That'll be the next one I purchase. I just haven't had a reason, a justification to buy that pedal. I don't collect pedals. I think this is a conversation we've had before. It's very clear. I collect Boss pedals. Those I actively, and I say collect, I should say I'm done. I don't have all the Boss pedals, but I have, because I know you can't see in frame, but there's more. There's more rows above and below and Boss pedals. I think there's 30 Boss pedals I don't have. And to be honest with you, at this point, that 30 pedals, and I'm being general because it could be 20 or it could be 40 or 50, but I think it's like 30 something pedals when I looked online. You can look online, you can Wikipedia search every Boss pedal ever made, and I looked. The problem I have now is the ones I'm down to, the ones I don't have, are either in one of 2 categories for me. They are crazy expensive, and I won't pay it. I've never paid more than like $150 for a Boss pedal, and that's the highest. That's the highest I've ever paid. Most of these Boss pedals have been picked up for under $100, almost every single one, with almost no exceptions except for maybe like 2 or 3 at about $150. So I won't do $200-$300 Boss pedals, so those are off the chart table for me. I won't do it. I don't have any desire to have a fulfilled collection like that. The other thing is, I got to the point now where I'm pretty much got all the Boss pedals that don't suck. So like for instance, there's a couple of the overdrives and stuff that, once you can't have them all. Not all of them are good. So I don't really want to collect them, the ones that I won't enjoy to play through. So so that being said, with the JHS thing and stuff, 90%, remember my old backdrop of my channel where I had guitars and amps and pedals, like every channel. We all have stuff behind us. You have to have a backdrop. The pedals got bigger and bigger because if you're going to do YouTube, look, this is a no-brainer on this. If you're going to do YouTube and do reviews, pedals are what you'll succeed in. I've been very fortunate to do well on YouTube not doing pedal reviews. Like I said, collectively on my channel, I don't even think there's 20. Out of the 740 videos, I don't even think there's 20 pedal videos. I used to tell everybody I do like 1 a month, but if you look, I've never done 12 in 1 year. I've never done that many. In fact, last year I did 2 or 3 tops, maybe 3 last year. So I only have done pedals reviews when companies sent them to me. And that's what was happening is I feel like it's a good market, especially if you want to be a YouTube reviewer, if you want to get on this social media platform and start putting your voice out there. And let's be clear, that's the best thing about this outlet. You create your own content, and if people connect with it, it moves, and you do it. But that being said, pedals are the easiest thing to do. And the idea of obtaining them, because companies can send them and stuff. And that's why I did it. So, because that was easy when I was doing started the channel, pedal would come and I could review it. However, like I said, I don't really actively buy too many pedals. Well, let me put it this way. I buy more guitars than I buy pedals, without a doubt. No exception to that. And then Tom says, just because it ties into the subject, which Boss pedal clones are better than the Boss originals? See, I don't even know, because I don't really like actively go that route. I don't really do a whole lot of pedal videos. Like I said, I started doing more pedal videos early on in the channel because companies were sending out pedals. So I would talk about them because it's product. Right now, the way it sits, if I was to entertain, like, basically what I'm trying to say is just the amps alone, amps and guitars I got to do right now fill up all the videos I can do. So I try to parcel in a pedal video once in a while, but it's not a high focus for me. Okay. Guitar 1952 says, I don't use pedals. I have an amp addiction. Yeah, that can do it too. I actually love pedals. So, I mean, let's be clear. I love them. I think I've shown this before. Let me show it to you. It changes as pedal boards do. This is my main pedal board. I use this one in this room. This is a Temple, but my other room, which is usually they're swapped, is the Holy Board one. So I really like Holy Board's pedal because it has a second tier. But I need something fast, and this had the power supply already mounted to it. So this would be like a perfect example of pedals you would see on my board. Like I have my LPD pedal. I have a Plexitone that I'm messing with right now. There's a way huge. Keeley compressor. It's my favorite compressor in the world. So, pretty much down to just Keeley compressor, for compressors. The Atlantic NuX reverb delay, a Supro, and then of course a Ditto. And the other room, the pedal board, which is my Holy Board, looks almost identical to this with the types of pedals that are on it. So again, no big pedal boards. I kind of keep it pretty straightforward. I'm probably going to switch that over. I need to move the power supply over to Holy Boards. I really like the Holy Boards 2-tier over Temple's one flat purpose. Yeah, zip ties. So Temple boards have plates that you can stick on, and I have some of those plates. And I tried it, you know what I mean? And this is a perfect example. I bought my first real pedal board that I loved was my Holy Board that I bought, and then I used that for years, and that was pretty much all I used. And then Holy Board saw the video and sent me one, and the new one was nice, and I liked it, but I still kind of was connected to my first one, so I still use my first one. Sweetwater, when they did the world's biggest pedal board, sent me a Temple board. That's where I got a Temple board. So I tried the Temple board out, and then I had those plates mounted to it, so I got a small Temple board so I could mess with that. It was really cool, but then Holy Board came out with a new one, which I've done a video on, and I like that the most out of all the Holy Boards, so that's what I'm using. And I use zip ties. Yes, no Velcro for me. Okay. Hold on a second while I read real quick. David says, David says, I want my pedals to play better than me. Everybody wants that. Well, that's a good sign. If the equipment you're using is better than you, that's a great always philosophy to follow everything. Always play with musicians that are better with you. Always that are better than you. Always play with instruments that are better than you can play. Always play with gear that's better than you can play. Always play in an environment that's above where you're at. I think that's always been a good philosophy. That way, you should always be not should be. It's nice if you're the only thing that's holding you back. Is just you playing at practice. Okay, so what else do we got? We're gonna jump on some other subjects here. Otherwise we're gonna get kind of clogged up. Let me hit some of these more pinned questions here first. All right, so what we have here is, I just wanted to do a thank you to Mahogany for doing a super chat. Thank you. Greg says, hey, Phil, have you or will you get your hands on a Vadimi YouTuber pedal? It's an interesting but pricey. Also, the Sweetwater rep says the Behringer pedals are still a couple months out. Really slow boat. He's saying the boat from China is really slow. So yeah, I have a Vadimi pedal. It was sent to me by Vadimi last year. It just showed up. I had talked to them. They had talked to another YouTuber who recommended me to give them some advice on a problem they were having. I talked to them. I had a lunch meeting with them. We talked about all their issues. I think it was a beneficial meeting because they sent me a nice, a thank you email and a thank you letter for the advice and help, and then sent one of the pedals. But I've never plugged it in. I haven't tried it. So, Greg, I'll tell you what I'll do, since you were kind enough to super chat and ask me the question about it. I've never tried it, so I really can't even tell you. I've never plugged it in. I will go plug it in. I can't promise this weekend, but I will do it. And what I will do, Greg, is I will announce on this show when I have a video. It'll probably, I'll put together something, even if it's a quick little video for you or something, just to give you a thought on it. I love the idea of it. It looks like a great product. But again, that's the problem. Sometimes, like I said, stuff shows up and there's just no way to make a video. I have to decide. That's what it is. I'm sitting there like every week, like, okay, what video do I want to do this week? And then I have a list of like, I have a dry erase board actually in my shop of videos. Like right now, I think there's 19 videos on the board. And then I go down and I go, okay, I'll do this one. So, I mean, you can only get to so many. Let's see. Alan Sam's Music says, hey, Phil, I play through a Katana because I live in a townhouse. I really miss the Marshall tone that I used to get with my DSL 40. Will a Dirty Shirley pedal help me get some of that tone back? I love the Katana and how it takes pedals. So the idea of using a pedal in front of the Katana, I'm definitely on board for. It's really great. That being said, I don't think the Dirty Shirley is a great comparison to the DSL 40. I think they're two totally different animals with totally different sounds. So that being said, so it's not what I would pick if I was going after that DSL 40 sound. So that's one. Okay. Two, the thing that I'm going to give you my suggestion for what pedal I think you should use for that sound. But I also want to tell you, part of the thing about all this gear, pedals and amps and stuff, is that you want to get out of this trap that a piece of gear sounds a certain way. Because that's not entirely accurate, and it could lead you down a wrong road, okay? So obviously behind me, that's a good illustration. I'm glad I have amps behind me today. This is a Fender 65 Deluxe Reverb, and it has a Fender sound, and that's a Marshall Plexi, and it has a Plexi sound, and then there's an Ingle behind me, and that has an Ingle sound, and you get where I'm going with this, right? We can go through all of them. EVH, right? Dr. Z over here. However, you can achieve sounds with amplifiers that are not normal. In other words, I can get a Marshall S sound out of that Fender if you just tweak it just right. It won't be the same, but it's close. So the reason I tell you that is, remember you do have a Katana. That Katana can mimic a lot of amps. I really feel like the DSL series of amps, I think the Katana let me put it this way. I think if you borrowed a DSL 40, sat it next to your Katana, and sat there and tweaked knobs back and forth, I think you could find a spot where the Katana was like, oh, it's pretty close. It's got that kind of top end sizzle, a little bit of throatiness to it. Sounds like the Marshall, and you would be close. So don't forget that is what I'm trying to say. Not because I don't want you to spend any money. Although, that sometimes it's nice not to spend money, but also because I want to remind you, because that's what sometimes you have to do, is you think about those things. Because if you buy the pedal, you know what I mean? It's a slippery slope that we all do. Now, that being said, besides the fact that you can mess with it, so mess with it. The other thing too is, so you don't even have to have that amp, that Marshall. I've done this fun little trick you can do. You go on YouTube and you find some legitimate person reviewing the DSL 40. I know I did a DSL 40, so maybe it's me. When I mean legitimate, I mean someone who's not multi-tracking it, 3 tracks, you know what I mean, doing all this stuff and producing the video to holy hell. Somebody's just, like, even a room mic would be great. And get your ear, listen to that amp, right? In real time, play it, listen to it. You don't need fancy speakers. I mean, I wouldn't use your phone, but listen to it. And then kind of tweak that Katana to get that that spot, find the selection, find the tone, do the thing, and you'll get it. That's my suggestion. That being said, my 2 suggestions for pedals that I would recommend, they're not going to be inexpensive, but they're ones I would like. I would definitely think about the Plexi Tone by Carl Martin. I like that for that tone, and I love the Pedal Pal Marshall pedals. Those to me really capture that Marshall sound. Now I know Lawrence's LPD pedals are great too, but remember, I always think Lawrence has, and I've said this a million times, he has a very polished Marshall sound. He has the Marshall sound that I like when you hear recorded Marshalls. To me, when somebody says I like an amp and I want a pedal that sounds like an amp, that's not the pedal I think of. I think of those 2 pedals for that reason. And that's why I use them. My so you know, the Plexi pedal on here, which, like I said, in the other room, I felt bad because they're my buddies. In the other room, remember I said I have like pedals on both boards? The Pedal Pal is on that one. It's the Pedal Pal Gold. The Pedal Pal Gold is the reason I use that is because, if I plug in the Plexi, I get this Marshall sound. But if I want to plug in the Fender, that's the pedal I use to get the Marshall sound out of that Fender. Kind of get it there. There you go. Oh my goodness. I just want to say, Rob Zilla said, hey, Phil, it's really nice to see over 1,000 gearheads hanging out. There's over 1,000 of us. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. Yes, it's cool to know that we're all have nothing to do on a Friday. No, but this is actually, you know what? If I had something to do, I'd probably try to ditch it to be here. So there you go. Let's see. Next, we have David. David says, hey, I have to ship my nice hollow body from California to the East Coast next week. Should I do it with air or ground? Any other advice? I wouldn't overnight it or ship it air. Okay, I would ship it ground. It's going to be obviously a crap ton cheaper. Don't worry about it. If you box it correctly, you want to double box it. Obviously, wrap it really well. Support the headstocks. Those are what's really issues on hollow bodies and stuff. You know, anything that can crush the body and stuff. If you pack it well, you'll be fine. And then if you want to, the other thing I recommend is usually using a piece of paper. That's just pretty simple. Use a piece of paper and stick that between the fretboard and the strings, so that there's no issues there, scratching the frets or scarring anything, doing any of that. Do that stuff, but you'll be fine. No, I mean, as I remind everybody, that's how the guitars got to either you or to the stores it was shipped. So shipping guitar is a daily thing. Every guitar was shipped at some point for the most, well, not every, but most. Fred wanted to do a super chat to say, I guess to say thank you or just support the channel. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Asa says, hey, Phil, I got my Made in Mexico 60th Strat. Okay, this is something we talked about before. He was talking about the Strat. This was his first Strat. If you guys remember, we talked about this. It was his first real Strat. He says, it has a 2-point synchronized tremolo. I like Jeff Beck. Would it be worth it to set it up to trim like his? Yeah, why not? Of course. It won't hurt anything. Should only take a minute adjusting that trem to float or non-float. Whenever you do that stuff, it's a very straightforward thing. Why not? It depends. Yeah, the answer is yeah. I don't want to make it more complicated than that. All right, Fred says, hey, Phil. Same Fred as before. Thank you, Fred. Says, love your videos. He says, referring to Alfredo's, like Alfredo's? I think it's Alfred. It's Alfredo, so I think it's Alfredo's. Alfredo, like Alfredo. Alfredo? It's definitely like Alf the alien. And then, I don't know. Rado. Anyways, question about locking tuners for his electromagnetic Gretsch. Okay, so he's asking me a question for somebody's question he saw. He says, I use Schalers for a perfect drop-in. So what's great about this, and I appreciate this, Fred just wants to let another one of you who asked about locking tuners for your Gretsch to know he used Schalers for his for a perfect drop-in on his G5232T. There you go. So I can relay that message. Aaron Peacock says, have ever had a bad experience with a seller on Reverb? Okay, so let me read the rest and we'll get to that point. It says, I have a terrible experience this week and it's left a bad taste in my mouth when it comes to buying used on the internet. Yes, I have had bad experiences on Reverb recently, of course. I think it's as simple as I've learned at this point setting expectations of what I expect. I would love, look, Reverb, it started out, it was kind of funny. Reverb started out for me as kind of like this premium thing. In other words, the sellers were definitely more in tune with what other guitar players were looking for in their purchases than eBay sellers were. In other words, making sure, listing everything, going over the details. And through those experiences, I have gotten over the years, lazy. Sometimes, I'm not paying attention. I've had this experience, twice now. I'm thinking two times for sure, but it might be three. I can name the things. It was 6120 amp. That's one. Copper Ibanez RG. I thought there was another one, and all three of those were lapses where I looked at their feedback. I didn't really pay attention. They were their descriptions were like vague, but like great condition, blah blah blah, and you got it, and they weren't really in great condition. So they needed some work to be fixed. And I've had that happen a couple times now on Reverb. But you know what the other one was? A Les Paul that was beat to crap. It was even worse than the Ibanez, which was really bad. And of course, the problem was listing the stuff as like excellent, you know what I mean? But not really detailed, just saying excellent. I can barely see any damage, or any marks. And you're like, cool. And then you get it and it was just beat to holy hell. And I was like, this is crazy. And the pictures were all, I don't want to say strategic, but they just weren't enough to where, doing it. So things I stay away from now, blurry pictures, sometimes I used to be like, oh, they just don't know how to use a camera. Nah, screw that. That's something wrong. I stay away from that now. Loose descriptives. I stay the hell away from anyone who says, not mine, selling for a friend. Just get away from that. Run like hell. I don't care if that's Craigslist or anything. That's usually, in my experience, most of the time, that's somebody trying to have an angle to tell you like, oh, well, I didn't know. Like, I don't know what this is. My friend just wants me to sell it for them. Just get away from that altogether. And it'll always be a deal too good to be true. So, of course, you'll lapse your judgment on that. You'll be like, well, they normally go for $800 and he's only asking $650. I should do it. And no, it will be bad. No, look, Reverb is, I feel comfortable and safe as a consumer buying on Reverb's platform. Reverb itself has come through with a 90% success rate for me, and as a buyer, and as a seller, it has protected the customer almost every time when dealing as a seller. And although that sucks when it's like, I think the customer is actually trying to pull some crap, I like the idea that when I'm the seller, our buyer again, I'll be protected. So they really slant towards the buyer. It's a really good thing to be a buyer on Reverb as a whole. Some of you are going to probably have comments about your one or two bad times experiences with Reverb. Even I've had a bad experience with a Reverb rep once where, they intervened into the situation and made it more complicated and problematic than it needed to be. But again, that's why I'm saying 90% success. I really like it. So that's my experience with it. Daryl says, great condition is an opinion. Yeah, it is. Apparently. Ken says selling for a friend equals it's stolen. That could be the case too, but I have found that a lot of times it's somebody who wants to be able to get around something they don't want to discuss, right? Does that make sense? Like broken headstocks, weird stuff like that, unconfirmed problems with the guitars. That way when you're like, hey, did you know this guitar has a serious issue? Or this isn't part of the original guitar. I had that, my experience, so my personal experience that happened with that, why I stay away from that now was, it was a guitar that was refinished. And so it was something that, hold on. Okay, cool. It was a guitar that was refinished. It was repainted. And that was a big deal because it was an expensive guitar. And that was the comment. I'm selling for a friend, don't know much about it. So when I got it, and it was obviously refinished, repainted, which is why it looked great for its age. But it didn't look right because the color was slightly off. And of course, how I could tell a refinish was, there was certain parts when you take, things out, like change out the pickups, the colors didn't match and all the kinds of things. Not from fading the other way, around. So anyways, when I reached out, that was the response. Oh, I don't know. He might have had it repainted. I don't know anything about it. I was like, great. So in that case, what happened was I flipped it. I sold it, said that it was refinished, and I took a bath. And this is something we talked about years ago on this. It's like, man, when you get something from somebody who is dishonest and then you decide to sell it and being honest, it does, man. It's a bath. That's why I said I'll stay away from now, even if it's legit. Like I said, if somebody out here says, like, I had an experience and they were selling for a friend, it was great. Good for you. I'm glad it worked out. I'm staying the hell away from that. That was a financial bath I didn't enjoy. All right. Whoa. And it jumped. I was reading a comment, and then it jumps, as it does sometimes. So Kramer guitar, Suku guitar. Man, that's a mouthful. Kramer says, Phil, most successful channels admit that they need a push from a bigger channel. How would I reach out to a bigger channel like yourself to check out my content and potentially push it? I don't know. I would not give that advice. That's not the advice I would give you, is to get a channel to push your content. I have personally said in the past, if you're using me as one of those references to channels that have said that, what I've said in the past is like channels like Jared Dines had mentioned me, and that there was, when I say a bump, I mean I got some subs out of it. I personally, again, this is just my personal opinion, giveaway contests where it's like, subscribe to my channel and win a thing. That stuff, which is very easy to do for YouTube channels, because you can always get a company who wants to, give something away. So it's like, hey, if you give away this pedal, and then you tell everybody, to subscribe to my channel, that's what they get out of the deal. Contests, other channels promoting you and saying, come to this channel. When somebody refers you to a channel, they will get you a bump in subs. That's it. And I don't know what matters to you. That never has mattered to me. In any way, shape, or form. First, and the subs don't stay. So somebody will sub to the contest until they don't win it. And if you're lucky, they forgot they subscribed to you, and then they never watch any of your content, but then they never unsubscribe. So you get to, again, dote that hey, I have a subscriber, which is, again, the value of subscribers is only, in my experience, only good to the companies. When you go, I have this many subscribers, and then you can use that as some kind of pricing system for the companies, or value point for the companies. But that being said, how you get subscribers, how you legit is the way I look at it is you make content and then recognize that when people watch it and subscribe to it and like it, continue to make that content. That's what you do. And I don't even know how to tell you how to get the views anymore. You know what I mean? I can't tell you, because every video that I've ever had that was successful, I say the same thing that every rock star has ever said about their songs. Like, I wrote this great song and no one cared, and I wrote this crappy song and everybody loved it. I feel the same way about a lot of my videos. Not that they were crap, but like when I think of like my favorite videos of all time, they didn't do anything for the channel, and then all of a sudden, this other video that I was just doing one afternoon for fun for a minute just took off. So, yeah. Although if a bigger channel mentions out your channel, that'll get you some subs, which is good. It's not going to make your channel by any means, at any way. Not that I've seen. So there you go. Next question. Let's go to the next question. Hold on. Let me get back to these. All right, we have, how are we doing on, okay, we're doing a good time. What I need to do is get back into, please bear with me, guys. I need to make sure that I have the right screen. Aha. All right. This is what I'm looking for. Sometimes this thing about this is you have to refresh. Otherwise, I'm looking at stuff that's from a few minutes ago. Okay. So what I want to say is, how are we doing? Good. I think we're good. I'm gonna do the next question. Let me just stay focused. Okay, Aaron is the next question. It says, thank you for sharing your knowledge with the guitar community. What do you think of the Guild Starfire 2 series? Looking for a $400 to $700 semi-hollow. I haven't played like any of the new stuff, anything recently. But I mean, I was a fan of it. It's good stuff in what I've played in the past. And, so that's what I think about it. I like the way it looks. So when I look at pictures of it, so... Litvey says, hear me out. Okay. I love my RoboTuner SG. It's totally horrible, but nice to have an open tune. It's nice to have any open tuning at my fingertips for a variety of inspiration. Thoughts? We were talking about this before, Litvey. I like the idea of RoboTuners. I think Gibson should bring them back and stick them on Epiphones. Gibson SG, sure, why not? Look, it's my problem is the price. I'm not saying, again, I've never said that they were horrible. I just said, first, making it mandatory to put on every guitar was just the silliest, dumbest thing ever. So obviously, I think Gibson's even acknowledged that. They recognize that. But it's, to me, I think their logic, besides the fact they thought it was going to revolutionize the world, I think their logic is it's not a cheap system. Price-wise. So maybe in a $2,000 guitar, you can kind of eat it a little bit, in other words, and make it like a $2,200 guitar and make a sense. So I understand that if you take a $400 Epiphone and you try to stick a $400 system in it, who's going to buy an $800 Epiphone? Me. That's what I would do. I mean, if Epiphone came out with a RoboTuner Epiphone, I think I'd be on to try it. I think it'd be cool. I think that would be a fun thing to have around. To have, like you said, for all the crazy tunings you can do. Be fun. Christopher says, it's called Christopher Standard Time, says, any experience with Rio Grande pickups? Nobody seems to use them. I even reached out to them when you had planned pickup reviews before COVID. I have not heard from them. And so, I've only had like 2 pickup companies ever reach out to me about when I started doing the pickup reviews, and now I do them. If you haven't figured it out, they're coming out on Sundays now. No. I had some viewers send some pickups. Thank you for those that did that. And I've been buying pickups and putting them in the guitars. And that's basically it. So no one, other than, like I said, the first 2, Angel and then another small builder sent me some pickups, and that's it. So yeah, I know nothing about them and I haven't heard from anybody. TT says, I actually would have been curious regarding the new Fender Acoustasonic. Okay. He's talking about the new one. I'm sure he's talking about the one that released this week, the Jazzmaster one, right? So the Jazzmaster Acoustasonic, okay. You're curious about it, but, he said, but after having 15 channels demoing it in 2 days, I kind of hate it now. Sure, it's like when the radio plays a song too much. I don't think it was 15 channels. It was probably like 50. I don't think that should sway you on it. I understand there's a little bit of the infomercial vibe when you get 50 channels. We've talked about this too, again, many times. I've upset companies talking about this subject about, YouTubers all putting out the same video the same day to kind of get the excitement going. And maybe it's effective to the point, like I said, we're talking about it. Me personally, I think it's cooler when it's spaced out over like a 2-3 week period. You know what I mean? It's cool, but I get it. You get to choose what YouTuber you watch. I mean, no, I don't hate the idea. The guitar seems cool. It's basically, for me, they made the Telecaster, Stratocaster, Jazzmaster. It made sense to do this. I kind of already knew about it back in January that they were doing this. So yeah, it's cool. It's $2,000. $2,000 it depends on how you look at that. The way I look at that is, look, it's $1,500 now for basically an American-made Strat Tele. So $500 more for this acoustic thing doesn't seem. I mean, I'm not saying $2,000 is not a lot of money. It's an insane amount of money, but is it out of crazy for what it is? I've seen some of you guys' comments. Some of you guys were talking about the fact that who's buying this thing. I don't know who's buying it. I mean, I have a few friends who have one and they like it. I will tell you that I feel like they make more than what I think the market seems to be consuming, because I keep seeing them everywhere. New, I mean, not used, new, just in stock everywhere. Lots of in stock. But it's a cool idea. I mean, obviously I like it. I love the Godin A6, which by the way is now over $1,000, and that's a steal. So if you're thinking about some of those Acoustasonics, make sure you check out a Godin A6. Made in Canada, fantastic, half the price. You know, and then of course the Taylor T5. So I mean, it's a cool idea. He said, so Security Loft said, even Ola? I think Ola would be definitely one of the ones to get one. It's a big channel. Even Ola had one of those Fenders and made it chug. Of course. Yeah, I think that Fender's marketing logic was to send it to a ton of channels and let them do their thing. So the songwriter channels wrote song on it. The chug channel, like Ola, did chug stuff on it. I think it makes sense. I mean, look, they're a big company. Look, Fender... Let me be clear about this. This is the funny thing about Fender and Gibson when it comes to the social media market. Their advertising budgets, social media is a joke, right? Like I've said this before. You can take a few $100 on social media and you can make, you know, tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing dollars on return. And those companies have, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to do advertising. So whenever Gibson and Fender want to be in the social media market, they're going to dominate it every time. You got to understand, think about this. I'll give you a thank God response. Thank God Fender and Gibson doesn't want to own the entire social media market. You understand, they put out enough products, they're big enough and they have enough power that if Fender wanted to and Gibson wanted to, be the only thing you guys see. Let me put it this way. Think about when you go to Guitar Center. It's the only products you see in Guitar Center. If they want, at that size, they're colossally huge. Both those entities are so freaking huge. And don't even think about PRS and all that stuff. Those guys, they're nothing burgers compared to Fender and Gibson in size and what they can do. And so, like I said, you watching channels and seeing a variety of products, it's literally because Gibson and Fender only like to play in the sandbox a little bit at a time. You know, like I said, when they come out with a new product, they'll launch that. They push it a little bit. You know what I mean? Epiphone and Gibson, if they want to put out a little product, they'll do it a little bit. But like I said, if they ever wanted to, like that, they could just literally make it to where every video you see on YouTube is their stuff. So, thank God they don't do that. I'm laughing because I don't know. All right. Some of you guys are funny. All right. Let me get back to the next question. Next question. Next. Maybe it's a subject. I don't know. We'll see. It says John Doe. John Doe says, "Hey Phil, what does a neck need relief? Why? I think it's why. Why does a neck need relief? Okay. How much relief is normal and how do you measure it?" That question is too much for a verbal podcast show to go into. I can give you a general idea, but what the problem is with questions like that are, here's the good news. I'm not going to answer the question because it's just too much to answer for me trying to verbally talk about something. But what I do now, I'm doing it right now, is to make notes because I don't have a video on that exact topic. How much relief is normal and how do you measure it is a great title for a video. And it's something I can just knock out in the shop. And so I will do that if that helps. So thank you for the question, but I'll answer it in detail. That would be a better serve for everybody. Chief Megadeth. That's cool. Chief Megadeth says, "I bought an Ibanez Jim Jr. and the frets feel rough when I bend." Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of reasons for that. Says, I want to do a clean and polish of the frets restring. Can you recommend some ideas for my first time? Sure, of course. I have a video of all the polish cloth systems. There's 10 most popular ones and how I rank them, and you can check that out for sure. Definitely check out that video. I bought all those polish systems and checked them out. I specifically did that. Every single one of those companies would have sent me stuff, but I just wanted to be free to kind of rate them. And believe it or not, companies seem to get really bitchy fast when you rate them. So that's why I needed it to be as independent as possible. You can usually get away when a company sends you products of having any opinion you want. But stuff like rating stuff gets a little dicey. So I rated them for you guys. So I would check out that and figure out which one best fits your budget and your needs. That's what I would do. And then that's it. Everything you need is in that video. Say, Drew Phillips did a super chat. Thank you. Jeff Parker says, Dave Sabo guitar came and went again. Still on wait list everywhere. Heck, got my vaccine today. Easier to get vaccine than Sabo guitar. There's a bunch on Reverb. So, there's like 3 or 4 on Reverb. In fact, all week there was like 6 or 7. Okay, hold on. Let me get back to the question. Okay, it says, on that, think Kramer bring back more Klein Graphics Barrera. Okay, so Klein Graphics. He's talking about Klein, the artist who did the graphics for that guitar and other graphics. Will they bring out other graphics? I don't know. The problem for me is, Epiphone is, it does some cool stuff and then it doesn't do some stuff and it does some cool stuff. So, it's a hard thing to predict. You know what I mean? So I have no idea. But on that note, yeah, the Sabo guitar. The Sabo guitar, I have one. I don't know if I told you guys this. So I was asked, if I was going to review it. I'm not going to review it. Mine has an issue with it. My whole Sabo thing went like this. Sabo. So you guys know. Very clear. I had put one on order back in 2000, last year. 2000 what? 20. Yeah. So last year last year. So I put it on order with a friend who owns a business, a store, who did it for me. What happened was it kept getting pushed back when it was coming out. So what I did was I reached out to Epiphone and asked if they knew when they were coming out, because I wanted to know when is this guitar coming, because I was excited about it. And they said, oh, it's shipping today. We're shipping them out to the dealers today. And they said, are you going to review it? Are you going to review it or do an unboxing? And I'm like, I am. And they said, oh, okay. And they said, well, we'd like to take care of you. And so I was like, awesome, because I already had one. I already paid for it. And I was like, 300,000 subscribers, I'm going to do a Sabo giveaway and give the Sabo one away, and then I'll have one, and I thought it'd be the cool thing. And then what happened was they got back to me and they said, yeah, we'll sell it to you. And the price was $71 more than what I just paid for one. So I love you guys, but not enough to pay more to give a guitar away than I just paid for. It's one thing if I bought 2 guitars and I gave one away, but I got to pay more for the one I'm giving away than the one I just bought for myself. So long story short, I talked to another friend at a large music company and said, if you have any, I'd like to do a giveaway. And they said, no problem. And long story short, they couldn't get one. So now here's the bad news. The one I have has an issue, and I'm not sending it back to my friend because he sold it to me for absolute cost, dealer cost, down to the penny. In fact, I think he ate the shipping. So dealer cost. So I think he lost money. I think he lost like $50 selling me this guitar. So that's what it is. So I have one. I like it. It's got an issue. There you go. So that's what happened with that. All right. There you go. But I don't know. The good news is, though, I think I figured out another way to do maybe a cool guitar giveaway with another company. All right. Okay. Let's get back to subjects. How are we doing on time? We're doing great on time. And we have the next questions from Joe, our comment thing. Joe says, hey, Phil, love the pickup Sundays. Hey, thanks for catching on to that. I wasn't telling you guys that they were called that, but that's what they're called. I was wondering what pickups you would say the stratness of, have the stratness. Okay. Strattiness. It's like Strattiness. It's a word now. Strattiness of the 5708s, but at a lower price point. I don't know. I have no idea what pickups. So I'm assuming you mean what other humbuckers or what single coils have that Strattiness. So he's talking about the 5708 PRS pickups that I reviewed 2 weeks ago when I put them in probably in coil split mode. They're low output pickups. What's funny to me is what they did really well. What PRS really nailed with the 5708s, what they got, the mojo in that pickup that I love, is in the single coil mode, they have that 50s bright, glassy, but not harsh, jangle tone that I love. That's probably what you're identifying in that video, because I agree. I thought it had a really strattiness to it as well. And usually lower output pickups, when they're just so weak, they just don't have that. So they did a really good job. So what other ones do that? I don't know. What I will tell you is this. The whole point of this video series is exactly that. I'm going to go through pickup after pickup. The plan is to, like the channel, to go after, like I do a $3,000 review and then I do a $75 guitar review. I want to do the same thing with pickups. If you guys are savvy, like the pirates on, you savvy? If you're savvy, you're paying attention to the fact that in my videos, there's always Easter eggs in every video, and it's never a coincidence. It's always done on purpose. Sometimes I have to crop stuff out because I'm like, oh crap, I can't release that video to this date, and it's in that video. But a lot of times something's put in the video strategically because I want to reward you guys for paying attention. You guys can probably see in those shop videos there is an insane amount of guitar pickups in there. My joke right now is if you drive by my house, your compass is gonna go nuts. There's so many pickups to do videos with now because I've been collecting them up. Like I said, viewers supplying me with them, friends supplying me with pickups. Literally, like my buddy Neil just gave me some burst buckers. People knowing that, look, you guys, amazing community out there. I told you guys I wanted to do this video series. No one was ever doing pickup reviews. I wanted to do it. I thought it'd be fun. I reached out to some companies. I had a bunch of companies on track to do it, and the problem was I needed those modules, and so I created a scenario where these modules, which are like $150, $200 a piece, I worked out a deal where all the companies would buy the modules and send me pickups. So they weren't paying me for the videos, of course. They were just, they'll buy the modules, they'll send the pickups, and then I can exchange the pickups and show them to you guys. And then, keep doing videos because I'll have the modules. What happened because of COVID, all the companies but one backed out. But I had already told the Somnium guys to do the modules because they needed at least a few months to build those modules because they're machined out aluminum. So I paid for all the modules, and then that ate up all my allotted funds to make those videos. That's why the videos went dead. And so in true trying to be diligent, like any smart business person, I could have just started doing them like I'm doing now. But I really exhausted every lead resource I could to find some kind of sponsorship to make them happen, and I couldn't. So they're sponsored by me now, right? So there you go. Although, like I said, PRS did send out pickups, but like the Pete Thorns I bought, the two next pickups you're gonna see, I think one's sponsored, one's unsponsored. So very cool. So like I said, hopefully there'll be a lot of resources for that for you guys. Next one's from Travis, who says, you have to build what? I have to build an 8-pedal board, 8-pedal pedal board, not counting the volume pedal. No pedals over $150. Go. Yeah, I would build this pedal board I just showed you. That's like the worst answer that you're ever going to get. How many pedals on there? Hold on. 2, 4, 6, 7. 7. That's about the most pedals I'll ever have on a pedal board is 7. I usually average around 6. I need, and so pedals for me, the brands that makes, I'm bringing this back up, the brands that makes, not important. What's important for me is the type. I need a compressor. I need a boost. So it's a mood thing. I'm in a mood. So I'm playing the overrated special, but this could be my love pedal. This could be my JTM 45 love pedal. This could be the Spark by TC Electronics, just some kind of boost, or it could be a tube screamer, just a thing. I usually want some kind of mid gain pedal. Sometimes it's the LPD 68. Sometimes, again, it's the, what else would I use? Probably that one or this one. The Pedal Pals Gold. That one's another one. Like I said, metal pedal. Then I usually want some kind of crazy distortion pedal. The 87's got a lot of gain for me, so that's something I would use. On the other pedal board right now is the 5150 MXR, but sometimes it will be the BE100, right? And then a tremolo, and sometimes the tremolo is the Supro, sometimes it's the Boss, and then delay reverb. The other pedal board has the caverns, the Keeley caverns. This has the Nux NuX Atlantic, and then a looper, and the looper is usually the Ditto or the Boss. So I'm because those are the sounds I'm usually going for, and that's why I have those pedals. So I change them out based on, the flavor I'm looking for, little subtle difference in tonalities, but that's generally what I'm going for. Or I use Line 6 M9. That helps. You can use that. It's basically all those 6 pedals and you're done. All right, Shawnee is a Cubs fan. Hey, Shawnee, what's up, buddy? Says, hi, Phil. What do you think of the older Fender Highway 1 series? I swear, I keep getting the same question. Is it you every time? I don't remember. It says, did you ever own one? I have. I love my Highway 1 Telly. I just installed Texas Specials today. These are coming up a lot, the Highway 1s. We've talked about this many times. They're nitro finish, satin. Love them. Ralph has a Highway 1 bass, and I think he doesn't have the guitar anymore, just has the bass. We relicked his bass, so it's a relict Highway 1 that we relicked. I had a Highway 1 Strat I absolutely loved. Do I dare say I regret getting rid of it? Probably, because I don't have a 70s headstock anymore. I like the bigger frets, and I like the nitro finish. I'm not a big satin finish person. I think that's probably why I got rid of it at the time. But, okay, Chad, hold on. By the way, I got a cool tartan Know Your Gear mug. This was made for me. My wife made this for me. I know it's like a shameless plug, but it's not, because these aren't for sale. This is just for me. She made this just for me. So that was really cool. Thank you. If she watched this channel, I'd be like, thank you to her, but she doesn't watch. Hold on as I fill my cup up with vodka. That'll make the second part of this show much better. All right, Chad. We got to do Chad. Okay, Chad's question is, hey, Phil, let's talk about pickups. Are good modern pickups surpass vintage pickups? Having modern builder technology also was... Oh, he was in the United States Air Force in 94 at APG. Ah, nice. Thank you for your service. So I was 95. So there you go. So anyways, back to your question. When it comes to modern and vintage pickups, look, pickups physically do change. The magnets degauss a little bit. Everything changes about them. So vintage pickups, not in the idea that they were made differently. That's a second thing. So yeah, hand winding the pickups versus the machines that do them is different. It just is. First of all, pickups, getting them consistent is almost impossible. And the more you try to get them consistent, I think the less magic they tend to become. But the less crappy they also become too. Does it make sense? It's kind of like guaranteeing a C average. It's like you'll never get an A, you'll never get an F, but you'll get a lot of C's. And that's good if you're a company. Think about this. Who wants that pickup? A company wants that pickup. Do we want that pickup? No. We want the A+. So to me, a mass-produced pickup is better than a bad pickup, but it's never going to be the same as that magical wound pickup. The question I get, Chad, that ties into this, I get in so many videos, especially since I've been talking about pickups more and more, is this comment. It's almost like somebody could copy paste this comment. It's asked by so many different players, but it's always the same. It's just magnet and wire and plastic, and there's, what else can be done to them? Oh man, that's like, you know what? I find that always funny. It's like asking a chef, oh, you're just using, take 5 chefs and give them the same 5 ingredients and watch how different it becomes. It could be that different. So the variables of a pickup are so intense, from how hard you hold the wire, you know what I mean? How tight you hold it, the tension, the gauge, of course, but really not really the type of wire. You know what I mean? how it's spooled, how much of it, everything matters. It's a very, very specific thing. There's like and really, here's what's sad. To get a decent basic pickup, I think we figured it out as an industry. So what I mean by that is, look, when I play these $30 pickups, that you can buy, all these guys, all of you are always suggesting to me lots of $30 pickups. I have a bunch now at the shop. And testing them in the guitar, what I've learned is, yes, if you're looking for C average, which is that's not a dig or slam in any means, but it's exactly that. If you're looking for good, of course, good gets the job done, right? It does. It just does. But when, the problem for me, and I think for most musicians, is we're not just looking for tone. Chasing tone, yeah, we do that, but we're really chasing inspiration. You need inspiration. There's a great saying, it says, it's a great saying that I read once many years ago, and it was, you need to have bigger goals than you have problems. And if you ever want to be self-employed, I've been self-employed now for 18 years. Oh, geez, 17, 18 years. So I literally, no joke, 17, 18 years now, I literally make, the saying is, what I tell my kids, I make what I kill. In other words, like literally tomorrow, I'm unemployed, so no. I mean, I literally have no pension, no 401k, right? I don't have a company. My insurance is, I pay my own insurance company. I'm self-employed. It's liberating. It's fun. I don't know if I trade it because, again, like I said, I used to work in corporate America. I would never recommend it to people because it's scary as hell daily. Because not that working a job's much less scary because you get laid off and stuff. But my point to that is that's how I learned to do this. You have to have goals bigger than your problems. So when you wake up today and everything's going to crap and there's 50 fires you got to put out, your goal, it's like what keeps you on track is remembering, but this is what's going to happen if I get all this done. This is what's going to happen at the end. So my niece Hurt says, I also have no 401k and retirement fund. Yes. Yes. But the point is that, that's a great saying. I say that because that is also what happens with us with music. It seems so easy, right? To say, like, just using, like, bourgeois, just using words to say things like, oh, music inspires. No, it doesn't. Sometimes everything's horrible. So finding that music, finding the passions, finding the things that inspire you, they're hard. You know what I mean? It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing. So sometimes, some of the things that really suck, and there's 1,110 of you right here, 100%. I've always say this in the past. I always go, and 70% of you will say this. 100% of you are going to agree with what I'm going to say next. 100% of you, whether you've been playing since last Thursday or since the last 70 years, man, you plug into an amp, you plug into a guitar, you sit down, and it's just lifeless and uninspiring, and you just can't find any joy. It happens to all of us at some point, and it's horrific, right? This moment, where you're just like, I'm not loving the sound of this. And you're like, what? I don't understand. I loved it yesterday. I loved it for the last 5 years. I just not loving it. It's not doing anything for me. So yeah, of course. Are we always chasing tone? Are we always chasing? Yeah, but we're chasing inspiration. You have to. And sometimes, here's my best advice. The only thing I've learned from buying crap, selling crap to people for many years, fixing crap. I'm going to keep saying crap. Why not? Buying, selling, fixing crap all these years. Here's what I've learned. Sometimes stepping away will achieve the same thing, and it's much easier on your pocketbook. So in other words, instead of buying another pedal or guitar and amp, you could just stay away from your guitar for 2 weeks. And believe it or not, when you come back, it's like, it's fresh, new, and exciting again. That's all you really needed. But, sometimes you can just buy a pedal at midnight too. I like to give you both sides to justify both logics, right? It's because I think there's always a little bit of both. If I'm not in the mood to spend stuff, that's what I do. I back away from it. It's really made me in tune doing YouTube now for the last few years because of the fact that I now feel more in tune with professional musicians than I've ever felt in tune with before. Isn't that silly saying this because I'm just some YouTube gear channel? But here's the deal. The reality is I've experienced a lot of things that we've all have, playing in front of people, right? Things that professional musicians experience. But the one thing I can tell you that I've definitely experienced now that I can at least relate to a little bit more is I have to have this out. I have to have this video done. I have to do this. And I just can't find inspiration. And sometimes pushing through it it's like the worst feeling ever. Cause you're just, if you fake it, it just comes across. So that's my 2 cents on that. And what I'm basically saying is that I can't take those 2 weeks away cause I need to make content. So Grumpy My Guitar, he's here. He's going to change the subject and make us, we're going to talk about something fun. He says a lot of great stuff on Patreon this week. Thanks. A little something for the tone jar and why not cheers. So there was some changes this week. Thank you, Grumpy Mike, for the segue into this. It wasn't something I planned about talking about, but yes. So 2 things have happened this week that a few of you out there have caught. The first is there's a Phil McKnight 2 channel. What is that? It is eventually, I think I've said this, and if not, you guys are the first to hear it. Eventually, this channel, the Phil McKnight channel, will change its name. It won't matter to you guys. It won't mean anything to you guys, and you won't even know what happened. The reason being is that the way Google and YouTube works, Phil McKnight and Know Your Gear are so integratedly inclined that you can literally put either one in and it comes right to this channel. Okay, so it doesn't matter what I do. This channel will eventually be called Know Your Gear. Phil McKnight 2 channel will eventually be called Phillip McKnight. Why? Well, that'll allow me to put less gear specific things on a second channel. Okay, so that's what it is. Basically, to take away this thing that I say to you guys sometimes, like, oh, well, that, I do that, but a lot of you aren't interested in that. It would be nice if I could just go, okay, I'll put that on channel 2. You know what I mean? Hey, Phil, can you make a quick little video with your phone? I used to do a lot of quick little videos with my phone. I used to love them. I miss doing them. I throw them on this channel now. The channel now, because the way it works, it's so fast. In other words, within, 20 minutes, there's, 2,000 views on this channel on a video. The problem is, I get sick of hearing everybody going, oh, why is it in 720p? What's the resolution? Why is it shaking? Like, you guys are critiquing the video, and I'm like, all right, I didn't mean for this to be, the same video as always. So long story short, I'm just making a second channel. So why does that tie into Patreon? Patreon, I also started giving them their own videos as well. So that's what it is too. I have not decided, and I won't know if those videos will eventually become on these channels as well, but they're very specific to the patron viewers, in the idea that they're things that they ask for. So that's what that is. Because again, trying to find ways to excite the people that are supporting the channel in all the ways that they support the channel. Sarang says, hey, Phil, thoughts on the new Gibson Murphy Lab? Oh, we talked about that last week at the last minute. On another note, would love to see you on an episode of Andy Ferris and Dan from Ibanez Podcast. I talked to Andy like a year ago about going on the channel. It was one of those wire cross things. Like he sent me a message. I said, yep. And then something happened. Maybe COVID. I don't think it was COVID. I think we were talking. Anyways, long story short, I talked to Andy twice last year about syncing up stuff to do something. I'm up to do it. I prefer not to talk about myself. So I think he sent me a thing about, like, that's what he wanted to do is a podcast, and I talk about myself. I know I'm silly because I'm talking about myself kind of here, but I don't really see it that way. I'm talking about our industry and gear and stuff. So long story short, yeah, there's no issue there. I'd do that anytime. Maybe I'll reach out to him. I know, like I said, it was a year ago. I think we talked. So on that note, the Murphy Lab guitars from Gibson, they're fantastic. They're $7,000 and they're fantastic. I got excited. I had a thing that happened with me. Somebody bought one $7,000 on Sweetwater off of one of my affiliate links, and it paid me out, which, by the way, that's an insane amount of money. So that's like in affiliate dollars, it's like, whoa, that's cool. I mean, not like I got paid a lot. I mean, it was good, but I was like, me and the wife are going to Red Lobster. right? And then the next day it's like fraud and it got removed. That happens a lot. More than I ever could imagine. Every time I turn around, I've now sold like, I think 4 guitars through the Sweetwater affiliate link where they're $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $7,000 guitars. And you see them and you go sold. It doesn't tell you who, it doesn't tell you anything. It just says this guitar sold this amount, and then it says you get a dividend. And you get it in like 60 days because if you guys return something, it removes it from us and stuff like that. But it's like a little little percentage to help the channel. And almost every time it's like I should have not even got excited when I saw it, because every time you see it, it's like, oh cool, and then like a day or two later it goes fraud, and then it says removed. So somebody bought one and I guess it was fake, or it was a fake card or something. So it was removed. So on that note, it's awesome. I don't have $7,000 to buy a guitar like that. Sam says, what? Thanks for your hard work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Says, plan on using your Sweetwater link. Oh, now we're talking about this. When I buy a new Charvel DK24, by the way, does Google take a percentage of your super chats? Yes, they do. They get 30 to 35% of the super chats. Look, don't complain about that. I don't complain about that in any way. Literally, since I've been on this, look, there's one consistent thing since I've been on this platform. So for those of you very excited to become YouTube reviewers, let me explain this. I can't imagine. That's why I like to talk to channels like the Tone King and channels that have been on this platform for 10 and 15 years, because that's how you succeed in any business platform. You find somebody who's done it longer than you and has seen all the ways that this can go right and wrong. And that's why I reach out to them, and that's why I became friends with them, because they have something to teach. Way more than the person. I don't want to say stupid. Yeah, I'll say it. Every stupid YouTube channel that makes like 15 subscribers makes a how do you make money on YouTube video. Stop doing that, by the way. Just stop. I would never tell you guys to not review gear or do anything. I don't care if you're a crappy player. I don't care if you got whatever your issue is, make videos, man. But stop telling people how people make money on YouTube when you have no idea. I have 300,000 subscribers, and like I said, over 100 million collective views, and I don't even know how it's done yet. I'm still figuring it out. That being said, what I can tell you consistently is that YouTube takes a chunk of money. And without them, there would be none of this. So there you go. So super chats, they take like 35%. When I say 35%, notice how I say I don't know. That's another little fun thing to tell you guys. They don't tell you. They tell you what they take, but they don't show you. At the end of the year, when I get paid from Google, I give it to the accountant. Actually, it's not even true. I give it quarterly, I think. But anyways, it doesn't matter. I give it to the accountant. It's just a number. There's no itemization. There's no nothing. Like the first year, I think I've said this, my first year, my accountant was like, I don't understand. What is this? And I'm like, it's just what they paid me. And he's like, based on what? They don't tell you. They just deposit the money and say, that's what you made. And you believe them. And then every once in a while, they send you an email saying, oh, we messed up and we didn't pay you for this, but don't worry, we will. And we paid you too much for that. And you're like, okay, wouldn't know. So yeah, that's what they do with that. And then same with the affiliate stuff and all that stuff. Since I've been doing affiliates all the years and stuff, very consistent thing. They don't really tell you a whole lot of stuff. It's very general, but but one thing is for sure is they're going to pay you less next month. They consistently have dropped it. So since I've been doing this platform, almost every way you get paid on it has been decreased in some way. The percentage you get, the way it's calculated, it's something. So, but I never complain because I mean, I didn't invent this stuff. I'm just lucky enough to sit here and talk on a microphone to you guys and show you guys gear. All right. Mike and Tim also did super chats. I appreciate that. Let's go to some non-super chats. How are we doing on time? We're going to have to button this up. And to do that, let me refresh. If I refresh the right screen, so I can do this because this is going to be important. Tampa Blues, you are the last. Well, you just did a super chat to say super chat. So thank you, Tampa Blues. Felicity is the last super chat. So if you super chat me anything, I can't get to it. Because otherwise I'll never get to any non-super chats as well. Doc says went for Red Lobster to Taco Bell in a hot minute. Yeah. I like Red Lobster. Although, thanks to YouTube, I learned something a couple years ago, which is I watched a YouTube video is like, whatever. It's like 10 things you should never buy at restaurants. And so one of them is crab. So because you can just boil it. So now I have, no exaggeration, I have a 10-gallon. I think it's 10 gallons. No, it's 5 gallons. It's a 5-gallon pot. I bought this giant, it's like literally no exaggeration. If you see my hands right now, this is how big the pot is. I bought this giant pot. And then every once in a while, when crab's on sale, man, my wife will buy like $100 worth of crab, which is insane because literally if we have 6 people over, we can't even eat it all. And we just throw it all in this pot and boil it with some potatoes and some corn. It's awesome. And put a little Cajun spice on it. It's amazing. Okay, so let's... Sean says, Phil said he's not employed, but he has a backlog of repair work and would feed his family for a year. Yes. No, don't get me wrong. There's no complaints. I've been in self-employed for 17 years, 18 years, and it bought all this stuff, and it pays the mortgage, and it buys the cars, and it pays the bills, and it feeds the kids. Yeah, I mean, that's how I make my money, but... yeah, it's a weird feeling the first time you walk into a building, so to speak. Like when you walk in a building and you work at a job, you feel like you're part of a team or a part of a thing, and this or protection of family, a thing. And so when you're self-employed, literally self-employed by yourself, it's a weirder feeling. It's like like there's no like I have no, and I'm not complaining. Lots of you guys watching same situation. I don't have any sick time or anything like that. So if I get sick, then it costs me money. That's what I mean by that stuff. There's no other benefits other than I get to work for a horrible person, which is myself. All right, let's back to questions. Chuck in Music. Hey, Chuck says, hey, Phil, I'm working on a deal on a Mesa Boogie Fillmore 50 on Craigslist. Judging by the pics, it's mint, but I'm nervous about dropping $1,100 on a private sale. I already know. I love it. Love the sound. Any advice? Yeah, same advice I always give on this. When you go to meet the person, judge the person more than the product. What I mean by that is, look, if the product looks good, but the person feels sketchy, it's sketchy. It's a simple thing, right? If the person's story seems like it's triggering you, right? You know what I mean? It's sensing like some kind of, there's a plot hole in the story, or there's something wrong. You know what I mean? Then that's how I do it. Shake their hand. I guess it's COVID. I don't know if you could do that now. I don't think you shake people's hands in COVID. And now you got a mask. I don't know how you read. I guess you can read their face, but you can't. But that's what I find. I believe that most people are good. I think everybody says that. They believe it. I've had more pleasant experiences on Craigslist than negative. I've had negative ones, though. I've had more pleasant experiences on Reverb than negative, but I've had negative, though. You know what I mean? The odds are in your favor. It's probably going to go well. You know what I mean? But there's a chance it can't. And I've learned to listen to what the person says, kind of read their mannerisms, listen to the story they tell, why they're selling it, what's going on. And that usually makes you feel pretty confident. None of those are economical connectors, by the way. I don't look at it and go, oh, they have a nice car. And if they have a nice car, they're not probably lying to me. That means nothing to me. I mean, literally, I listen to their story, what they have to say. Why are they selling it? What do they like about it? You don't even have to ask them questions. Most people will forward this information to you. They'll tell you when they're talking to you. Like, I really like the amp, but I've decided to go a different way. It's a little loud for my room. The story checks out. It makes sense. You know what I mean? So that's what I do. Read the person more than the product, and you'll probably be better for it. Pedro says, is there a simple mod to darken my John Mayer? Simple resistor or cap mod? I want to keep it as stock as I can since I lost my expensive electric. Thanks. Yeah, the John Mayer is a little bright. It is a little bright in my opinion as well. Lower the pickups a little bit. That will help. You don't even have to lower much. Just lower them a little bit. And I would not change the capacitor. You can use the tone controls and just quarter turn back. Just, use it that way. That's basically the same thing. But I wouldn't put a cap in there or do anything like that. That's what I would suggest, if that helps. The other thing is, quick little fix that's nice, especially a guitar like that might do well, put some pure nickel strings on it. That will also soften it up, take the harshness off the brights. And what's nice is, if you like 9s, I would go 10s. I always like with nickel, pure nickels, it has to say pure nickel. So it's got to be a pure nickel guitar strings. I go 1 gauge higher than normal. So if I put, generally, so if I play 10s, I'll go 11s. If I play 9s, I'll put 10s. You can put the same gauge, but I'm just telling you the formula I use. I'd buy 2 sets. It always feels like strings are expensive, but then when you think about it, they're not. $10 for a pack of nickel strings, buy 2 packs. It's $20. Just don't go to Starbucks next month. Whatever, get rid of a Vice that costs $20. Get rid of one of the streaming pay-per-views that you're not using or whatever, and buy a couple of sets of strings. And you can change the tone of a guitar very easily with some strings. Pure nickels would be definitely a way to go. Adam says, your advice on asking for a discount worked. Awesome. I bought a Next Tone, which is the Boss amp, special from Sweetwater, and my rep gave me $40 off. Yeah, the thing is, you got to understand how I want you guys to really believe how important this is. Talking to people is always the best deal. And to solidify that with you, understand what I'm telling you. I literally make money. If you guys click any of the links down below and you click the Sweetwater links, I get a small piece of the sale, even though it doesn't cost you anything. I get a small piece. It's funding for me. And I'm telling you, call them. Call them. Why? Because I want you, my viewers, to get a good deal. Call them. Trust me. I have enough non-subscribed viewers watching enough of the videos and clicking the links that there'll be some kind of dividend at the end. Let the people that are not paying attention to what I'm saying pay a little bit more. The rest of you guys, call your Sweetwater rep. Man, call them and get the deal. You'll get a deal. And if you don't want to call them, if you're a little nervous, if you don't know how to start the conversation, that chat window and those emails are the same thing. Communication. Communicate with them and say, look, and it doesn't have to be Sweetwater. If you're not a Sweetwater person, musician's friend, pick your poison, contact them, ask for the deal. I did, in the last couple of days, I've asked for 2 deals on guitars, on Reverb, and both times I was declined. I didn't make the purchase. I was very polite. They were very polite back. One of them even said, man, I'd love to give you a deal. I just can't. There's no room for me. I understand. I even told him in that email, I think what I said was, I said, help me. I'm not exaggerating. I said, help me impulse buy this. I said, I can't come up with a good reason to buy this. I didn't say that. I said, help me impulse buy it. That's really what the problem was. I couldn't come up with a reason why I should buy the stupid thing I wanted. And I thought, well, if they give me a deal, I'll do it. So I asked for a deal. They said they couldn't. So I didn't buy it. But no harm, no foul, right? So same thing with you guys. Call them and get a deal. Email them, get a deal. Chat window them, get a deal. And if you're looking, and if you don't know what to ask for, that's a very good question too. So should you ask for 10%, 15, 20%, $50 off, $5 off, a free cable? If you don't know what to ask for, don't ask for anything specific. The question is ask if. Can you give me a deal if I purchase this today? Is there any programs that you're offering today? Do you match other competitors? And if they say, yeah, what competitor? And you're like, I don't know. I'm just looking for a deal. Start the conversation. Look, if they're a halfway good salesperson and they have the ability to make a sale, they will make the sale. That's what salespeople do. They make the sale. If there's room, they'll do it. If there's no room, they won't. There you go. Somebody said, what? Ellen says, my poor Sweetwater rep is on speed dial. He's a real lovely person, feels like family at this point. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have somebody, like I said, plus it's a personal connection. It's nice. It's same thing as me. I have friends in the industry, and you have friends in the industry too. If you have somebody that works in this industry, I don't care what they do, they're a friend. I have gotten successfully. I've had successful deals, not only buying stuff, but with my YouTube channel, with an employee as much as an owner or a CEO. You can, anyone can take care of you that has the ability. They can take care of you. They will. Why? Because you're asking. You're the one asking. You know what I mean? Makes it easy. All right. On that note, we got to go to the next one. Okay, we're almost at the end. We have Adam. No, that was Adam. We did Mike. Mike says, Phil, happy Friday. Do you draft a script for each of your videos, or do you just shoot from the hip? So, Mike, it depends on what the product is. Sometimes I make bullet points. So there's things I want to make sure I talk about that I think that if I don't, you guys will put comments like, oh man, you didn't mention this. So I'll bullet point some things for sure that I want to talk about. I try to stay away from scripts. I've hung out with a lot of YouTube channels, and it seems like that's a very big divide on this subject. Some YouTube channels literally only script. And I learned that because when we did Hangout videos, when Hangout, they couldn't do a video because they're like, I don't do a video if I don't have a script. I mean, literally, there's videos that just do that. And they're pretty upfront about it. There's nothing wrong with the script. It's probably smart. Me, it's a belief thing. What you believe, what it is that you think the viewership is connecting with. I think part of the things that I think that I like watching, which is I make the content that I like to watch, is reactionary. You want to see. So I try never to have too much experience not experience, but you know what I mean? Too much involvement with what I'm going to say. I don't want to know what's going to happen in the video. I want it to feel a little exploratory, like what's going on with the video. So I don't really script it at all. But that being said, I do, however, make a version of the video and then kind of look at it. And then sometimes I can splice in some more information going, okay, I should add that. And then, of course, the big thing for me is like there's a video that I did this week. That's why if you notice there wasn't a video this week after the pickup video, it's because that video is no good for a ton of reasons. It's not important. I made the video, and after making the video, I didn't like it. So it went to Patreon, and then I listened to what the patrons had to say, and the patrons basically said it was okay. And that's not what you want to hear. So it's getting redone. So a lot of times that's what I also do too. Instead of a script, I send it to Patreon. The patrons get to see the video before. So it's like a sneak peek, but it's not just a sneak peek with me. They get to see it and go, hey, you didn't mention this in that video. I think somebody mentioned that it would be nice if I demoed pedals through it because it's an amp video. And I was like, yeah, I didn't do that. So that needs to be done. So, so like a focus group, I guess is what I want to say. It's like a focus group. All right. So, and I find that better than a script for me. Jonathan says, hey, Phil, new name here. Okay. I made it. What? Okay. I made it to WV on my way to Phoenix, Arizona. Okay. So I'm thinking, okay, so that's Phoenix, Arizona, to get a Sparkle Blue G&L Telly from MD. That's a lot of letters. Okay. So, good. I can always tell when it's like we're getting close to the 2 hour mark. I think I get a little like I read a little too much. I've talked a little too much. Jonathan, first, thank you for joining the live show today. That's great. The main thing I want to get is out of this is that you got a Sparkle Blue G&L Telly, which is freaking awesome. So that congratulations on the new guitar day. Let's just do that. Chris says, you helping my shift go faster. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that so much. Mike says, thanks for the channel. These are nice little compliments. Okay. Voodoo Fist. Hey, Voodoo Fist says, after the pandemic, you should do a KYG weekend guitar seminar event. I'm sure 50 or more of us would be willing to buy in and fly out there to Philtopia for the weekend guitar repair and all things KYG. Yeah, look, when we have the first opportunity to do it, as you guys know, like a lot of people before COVID, there were so many plans that were actually cinched up. I mean, I was going to do a setup clinic series and travel with it to a bunch of places, and all this stuff was already set up. I mean, it was set up, it was approved, it was funded, it was great. And then COVID. And so, yeah, that will all be happening. It's part of the reason why when COVID happened and it was hard to keep making content with this like this depressionary feeling of like, man, there was so much cool stuff about to happen. I feel like the channel was about to snap and click and do something. And, I've always felt like the channel does well, but I mean, I felt like it was some next level stuff was about to happen and interact with you guys and like I had been doing before with these events and stuff and just really take it up a notch. And so, yeah, to answer your question, Voodoo Fist, yeah, definitely. I'm down for that, man. I'm for sure. I mean, at least some meetup stuff, anything. Absolutely. Declan, what's up, Declan? He says, I have my eye on a Tone Master Deluxe Reverb, but I already have a Helix LT into a FRFR. Any benefit to the Tone Master, or would it be duplicating? You are not alone, my friend. I want a Tone Master as well. Okay, and there's a couple reasons why. Obviously, I have a 65 Deluxe, so it's like silly. But I want one. I don't know what it is. So, like you. And I have a Helix. Same thing. We're in the same boat, man. I want it too. It's $1,000. I think they just upped the price to 11, right? It's like $1,099 here in the States. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I almost want to say, if you buy one, I'll buy one, but I'm afraid you'll buy one. You tell me what you do. You tell me what you did if you end up getting one. I've played one. What I like about it is it's got the 65 Deluxe vibe, but what I really, really like is that switch in the back that takes down to 1 watt and then cranking the volume on that thing. Dude, you get this great tone at low volumes. I was super, super excited. I almost pulled the trigger and bought it spontaneously at this music store. This was like... It was during the summer because it was hot outside last year. And the only reason I did it is exactly that. I thought, as excited as I am, I was like, but is this really just in my Helix? Can I just do this from the Helix? But yeah, look, I'd like to. I have hit every resource I have for a Tone Master. I've asked Fender. I've asked some of the larger music stores I work with. Again, not for free product. I'm not out there like, hey, can I have a free? I'd literally just to borrow one. From anyone that tried to borrow it. No one will send me to borrow, which is what's sad is I wish I didn't do that. I wish I wouldn't have sent out those emails, because when I got fast no's from everybody that nobody was interested in having me check out the amp on the channel, I kind of got freaked out, like it must suck because they must not want me to check one out. It's not like it's killing in sales. I mean, they're readily available everywhere. And that's what backed me off from it. Sean says, if I was going to buy the Tone Master, I'd get the twin reverb and an actual twin I can use. Yeah, so I played the twin. I liked it, but like I said, I like the 65 Deluxe. So when I say I have a 65 Deluxe, I should also mention I have a 64 Deluxe as well, the hand-wired. So I would have all three. That's why I thought the video would be great. I would love to do a video for you guys. That's why I keep thinking about buying one. I could literally show you the $2,500 hand-wired one. Now these are $1,400, I think, or $1,300 for the 65 Deluxe, and then the $1,000 Tone Master. I would definitely do that as an amp that I not only use all the time. My Princeton and this are the main amps I use, especially for the videos. If you watch the videos, 70. I don't know what the percentage is. Most of my videos is the Dirty Shirley for distortion and that for clean, or the Princeton, which is down below. But more and more, I'm switching to 65 Deluxe. Aaron says, Phil, if you buy one, I'll buy one. Yeah, I wish they were $7.99, and that sucks. It just sucks. I don't know what it is. It's weird how. I think that's how it should always work, right? Consumers decide what the price is, and I obviously have. $800, I buy one. It's not like $800 is not a lot of money. It is. That's the point. It's a lot of money. $1,000 is just. I don't want to do it. All right. So Eddie says, any Supro amp owners? I had 2 Supros. I really liked them. I ended up selling them. And I think I told that story before, which is I had one. I loved it. I got another one. I did the stupid thing. I sold the first one, and then I missed it. So I don't know. I'd love to get one back again, but I think I can't because I really need to think about this. I don't know. Like I said, if you have comments, let me know. Mr. Mr. Billinchar says, Phil, do you think Fender will do a 68 Deluxe Reverb Tone Master? I don't know. I don't know if they would have to. I don't know if it would work that way. So I don't know. That wouldn't sway me. So, to get it. I mean, I like the Tone Master. I played it at music stores. So I like it when I hear in the music stores. But honestly, and I'm sure hopefully a lot of you understand this, I need to not hear it in a music store. I need to actually hear it against my real ones. And I mean that no sarcastically, my real ones, to know if it's something like I can go, well, that's cool. You know what I mean? If I didn't have a real one, because that's a real thing. You know what I mean? Sometimes you play something and if you don't have there's a plexi. I have a plexi. And if somebody says, hey, it's like a plexi. And I go, well, no, I have the plexi. It's not like the plexi. I want it to be like my 65 Deluxe. I don't want it to be like, it's not bad because it's $1,000. That's what I'm saying. I can't have $1,000 not bad thing. Hey, for $1,000, it's not bad. That's not something I can say out loud. It made I have a headache now just saying that, right? I can't buy something expensive and be like, it's not bad for a crap ton of money. It's got to be great because it's a crap ton of money to me. Aaron says, I love the Princeton, but it does not... Wait. He says, I love the Princeton, but it does not have enough headroom for some of the stuff. Yeah, no, it doesn't. The Princeton, I have the 68 Princeton is what I use. And it's for that reason. I want it to break up. Look, my whole love of the Princeton is, like I said, I love the 68 because it's got the compression kind of sound where it's like the notes thump a little bit. But also it's how I get my Fender amp to break up. That 65 Deluxe, I've never been able to get it to break up on its own without being told to turn down. Right when I get it, that sweet spot, I'm like, oh yeah. And everybody's like, dude, seriously. I'm like, all right. You turn down and then it doesn't work. So I have to put attenuator on it. So for me, it was the 68. Princeton did what I needed to do. Sean says, Phil, you have a 1987 hand-wired Marshall behind you and the Studio Vintage. I don't have the Studio Vintage. Aren't they basically the same thing? Yeah, they could be the basic thing. I don't have a Studio Vintage. What I have is, that's a 2061. That's a hand-wired 2061, which is different. It's different. You have to look it up. It's 2061. They don't make it anymore. And that's the matching cabinet. So I have that. This is pretty much like the 1987. Yes, they're very much alike. There's things I like about both. as you would, I should say. The Dr. Toronto says, hi, Phil. Should I replace the neck? What? Okay. Should a replacement neck, which is important that I get these other words right. Should a replacement neck come completely straight? The one I received is convex, and the company says I should give it time for string tension to straighten it. Doesn't sound right to me. Does not sound right to me either. That's not my experience when you're dealing with replacement necks. So let me put it to you this way. Let's make it very clear what I would tell you in this situation. Should that, what they're telling you, should that be the case? No. But if you let me handle it from both sides of the fence. So as a consumer, I would say, no, that's not what should be happening. As someone who would maybe sell you that neck, I would phrase it, and that's why I'm curious, maybe they phrased it this way. This is a more logical way. Before we exchange it or replace it, let's see what it does with string tension. I could see that being a situation. Like if a customer called me and said, hey, Phil, I got this replacement neck from you. This is what it's doing. I would say, hey, can we put some, string tension on it and wait to see. Let's be clear. A neck shouldn't have, the string should not control a neck. That's the best way to put that, right? A lot of times when people talk about necks, they talk about them like they're such frail things. Look, I could take a neck off a Strat and go play baseball with it. Just and then literally put it back on and restring it. Did you ever see Jimi Hendrix when he does his guitars? You know what I mean? So I mean, they take abuse, and I don't know what the material your neck's made out of, but it doesn't matter. Most materials are going to take a lot of abuse. So it doesn't sound right to me, other than maybe as a, hey, let's see before we exchange. But no, I would say follow that. If they're asking you to do that, do it for a day or two, and then. But I mean, literally 24 to 48 hours. That's it. That's the most I would tolerate from that. And so, I would never give you advice I wouldn't do myself. If a company sent me a neck and it was doing what you said, right? It was staying convex and it was not going straight, and I put string tension on it, and yeah, I'd give them 24 to 48 hours, and I'd be like, no, it doesn't work, so return it. There you go. Fox in the Hound, Fox with the W, as I always say. Phil, I bought a 65 Princeton reissue. Validation. I think it says me. Mahaha. Did you see Wampler put out a McKnight signature fuzz called Fuzzstration? Oh, that's cool. Pretty good. Fuzzstration, yes. I watched his video. What did I watch yesterday? I actually got a little slack for in the afternoon. I started watching a video, and I watched a Wampler video. I watched the one where he went through the breadboard pedal and went through all the different clipping diodes and JFETs and stuff, and highly recommend that. What's great is, I think I told you this. I don't want to take credit. It seems really a bad move, but I just want to tell you why I enjoyed the video, and so I want to clarify that's what this is. I enjoyed Wampler's video, but the reason why I enjoyed it was me and him, we got to hang out last January before COVID, and we were talking. One of the things I told him, he was talking about videos and, and views and engaging with the audience. And I told him that he's such a super nerd that I love it when he goes down the super nerd route on with his pedal logic. And so his videos, that video I highly enjoyed, because he knows so much stuff that I enjoyed it. So the reason I say I don't want to take credit is because I kind of feel like he's making that content. I don't know if it's because it was inspired by me telling him that, but I enjoyed it, and I kind of feel like it was more, he's been doing that a lot lately, the last year. Good stuff. So I recommend that video. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. It was fun. I think it was the most I've learned about pedals in a video. A Shinnery Kid says 5150 Studio Classic or Rocker 15 for classic rock, punk, and an odd YouTube song. Okay. I like the Rocker 15. I do. It's a good amp. I know a lot of people always tell me I've never reviewed any orange amps. I have never reviewed any orange amps, but I've played them. The Rocker 15 is one of the orange amps that I would buy if I was going to buy one, but I like the 5150. Obviously, that's what I have. So I'm going to go with what I have over what I didn't purchase, right? So I picked the 5150 because I bought that one over the orange. So that would be my choice, but they're both good. Here's the thing. There's no downside. So I guess it's like, take it for what it's worth. That's what I bought, but, let me put it this way. I think they're about the same price-ish, right? So if I came home one day and that was missing and there was a Rocker 15 there, I wouldn't be like, what am I going to do with this piece of crap? I would be like, I guess I have this now. All right. Matthew Torres says, hey, Phil, thanks for the info last week regarding the RG 22228. I'm just kidding. 2228 switch is great and everything works swimmingly. Awesome. Are the necks on the Access and Peavey Wolfgang similar? No, they are not. How do you like them? They are totally different. Totally different necks. The Peavey and the Access are totally different necks. The Peaveys are chunkier. They feel differently. I wouldn't say differently shaped, but they may actually both have the asymmetrical shaping thing. Different animals altogether. I can tell you this. Ralph picked up both last Saturday. He came over and he picked up both my Peavey and the Musicman, and his literally visceral reaction when he picked up the Peavey after the Musicman was, I hate this, and he put the Peavey back up on the wall. I love the Peavey. I like it. I don't know what it is. I like the chunkier neck, but so I'm just telling you that because that's exactly what you expect. So it's not like I'm saying they're close to each other, because they're not. He literally had that extreme reaction of, I don't like this at all. And he put the Peavey right back. Scott says, sharpening my Strat, looking for a humbucker for the bridge. Is there a budget-minded humbucker you would lean towards in full or single size? Yeah. Well, first, don't forget used. You know what I mean? I buy used pickups all the time. Go on Reverb and eBay and Craigslist and look for used pickups. You know, and what's great is, man, I'm going to tell you this. The best used pickups on the planet are the ones that have been sitting around for a while. They're cheap to ship. They're most times on Craigslist, people are trying to sell their pickups. No one's going to drive and meet to get a pickup. Buy almost all my pickups I can get are used if I can get them used. Absolutely. Save that money. They're if anything, they're better used. I think the pickups, like as they get, used, sometimes, the magnets can soften and everything's kind of smooths out a little bit. And I think pickups get better with age, for the most part. I mean, I'm trying to think of an exception, but I don't have any. So yeah, buy them used, man. That's the best way to do it. Go out there and look used. And what's great is when you get them used, if you can get them for a good price. Again, like I said, I'm not talking about, stealing them from people for nothing, but I'm talking about, don't pay 5% under new like everybody's asking now. But if you can get a used pickup for the right price, the best thing about that is buy it, put it in your guitar. If you don't like it, play it for a little while. Unless you got a recording session coming up for some reason. I always love it when people try a piece of gear and they go, I hate it. And they immediately take it out and get rid of it. I'm like, no, man, play it. Play it for a little while. Get a sense of it. Know it. Figure out what it is that you hate about it or love about it. And then, after you feel that way, then sell it for what you paid for it or more, if you're lucky, and get the next pickup. Look for that next opportunity to buy for a pickup. It's great. It's a great way to learn, train your ear and learn some stuff about pickups. Jimmy T568 says, small builder, Highlander, music and sound. Okay. Small builder, Highlander, music and sound. Love you and Texas Toast. Thoughts taking cheap guitars, upgrading and selling them for more with a list of mods. So you're asking me what I think of the idea of doing that. I think it's going to be tough. I think every time I've seen people try to do it, it's really tough. I've been very fortunate with the YouTube channel to pull it off, and the idea of exactly that. I've been able to buy a guitar, mod it up, and then sell it for basically what I got into it. And that is with all, think about this. That is a tough thing to do. I've done it, but think about all that, all the power, the muscle that's behind that. I took a guitar and modded it like you're trying to do, and then put it in a video that's got a lot of excitement behind it because it's got maybe 30,000 or 100,000 views or whatever. And there's and people watched it on video, what was done to it. So all those things in play. And sometimes I still I have to do a letter, saying, oh, this is the guitar I did in the video. And that's sometimes break even. So it's not I think the better idea would, instead of, in my opinion, since you're asking for it, instead of buying a guitar, modding it up, and trying to sell it, what I would do is offer those services like Sweetwater and companies I've learned to add now as add-ons. Again, I don't, stores do it. It's a smart move. Make a price list. That's what I would do. Make a price list of easy, fast deals. Like, think of it like combo meals at a restaurant. Hey, if you buy a Squire, we'll put pickups, do a setup, and do this for X amount of dollars, and you get to pick from these selections, and then people get to plug and play. So I think people are more inclined to do that. Get upgraded services to the guitar they want to buy. It's more personal that way. The weapon I guess I get to use on YouTube is that when I made the video, it makes it personal. I think that's why people are excited to do it. But again, like I said, when I say excited, I mean, when you think about the fact that when I do this stuff, it sells for break even with all that power behind it. It's still, that's a lot. That's a lot of muscle behind it for doing that. TT says, hey, I did buy a Godney 6. Oh, and I love it. So thanks. Awesome. The first Acoustasonic tellies from 10 years ago used to fall apart. Fender has nothing on Godin. The new Acoustasonics are way, way better. Look, it's remember I said I don't know anything about cars? I know this experience. Like, sometimes car companies bring back cars' names or bring back a car that was crappy. Not the good. Sometimes they bring back good ones too, but sometimes they bring back a car that was like, like a car that people are like made fun of. And then
And if you're not a car person like me, it's like, who cares? Like, I don't connect it. But my car friends are like, oh my God, they brought back that car. And then you look at the new car and it's really good, but you're thinking your brain can't get over the fact that it's connected to the horrible one they used to make. That's what the Acoustasonic is. when I see it, it looks good. You know, I mean, everything's cool about it, but yeah, I still connect it to the 199 ones that were plastic. You know what I mean? So yeah, I understand what you're saying. Me personally, it's not a good guitar. I'm not saying that because I don't have enough experience to give you an opinion on one anyways. I'd have to play it. What I can tell you is that if you're thinking about getting an Acoustasonic, I think you're not doing yourself justice if you haven't checked out a Godin A6 for half the price. Not saying it's better. That's not even close to what I'm saying. And I'm not even saying it's the same. What I'm saying is it's half the price and it's quality and it's made in Canada and it comes with a nice gig bag just like the Fender. There's a lot of things to like about it. So, all right. We are at Robert. Robert says, hey, Phil, being a metal player, I'm pretty locked into my bridge pickup for that kind of playing. I'm curious, what situations do you use a neck pickup? Well, you're a metal guy, right? So neck pickup would be for soloing because you're not going to use... Metal guys tend to use the bridge pickup for clean too because they're usually doing pick through stuff, you know, like a breakdown section or a bridge of a song. You know what I mean? So they want the notes to pop, not be so, you know, strummy like an acoustic. But that's basically a neck pickup is, you know, think about it this way. You don't need it. You know what I mean? So the question is, what we use for? I'd say solos. Do you need it? No. ZS Essex says, if I won money and I'd buy a 59 Les Paul and I'd have the headstock shaped 2-line, the tuners up with the nut, money, no object. He's talking about, what crazy project would you do? Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I'm not saying that's a bad idea to do with your money. I'm just saying I wouldn't do that. If I won a bunch of money, so I guess the question is, if I got a bunch of money and it was like, you know, like I said, you won it, let's make it easy. You went to Vegas and you just won a bunch of money and you wanted to buy a guitar and do something crazy. What would I do? I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do a custom guitar because I've got that out of my system. Custom guitars. Custom guitars now, like the keys that I have coming now that I'm excited about is, again, it's something that, because I've had a couple Kiesels now, I kind of figured out now where I'm at with the guitars. I don't know if there was anything I would buy specifically and go, yeah, let's trick it out and do something crazy. I don't. I wish I had a better answer. I know these are the most unexciting answers that way. And I wouldn't buy a vintage piece of gear with all that money. And I think to put it this way, to put it in perspective, obviously I've been collecting now, obviously, you know, I have guitars. At this point, there's only a couple guitars that I have not owned that were the, you know, oh my God, I wish I could own those one day. And I won't buy them. And I say that I can wholeheartedly look. Here's something I can tell you. This helps, Zed. This is why this is why I'm stuttering and I can't answer your question, because I just need to tell you the truth. The two guitars that I can think of right now in my head that are the holy grail guitars that I would always, you know, I always wanted to own, I can buy them right now. There's no reason I can't get them. I can afford them. I just won't pay for them. That's what it comes down to. There is something in me. Maybe it's age. Maybe it's I'm a parent. Maybe it's because I'm self-employed. Whatever it is, there's a practicality in me that says, no, I won't do it. They're out of my comfort zone, a range of guitars, but I can buy them because, you know, I have guitars I can sell off or I can whatever, acquire it. So I don't have anything like that triggers me to wish I could do that. If anything now, and you'll see in one of my videos coming up, if anything now, my excitement now is, now that I've gotten all that stuff, like I said, one of my most holy grail instruments of all time was to own a custom Warwick bass, which I have. And that bass is crazy money. And I was able to get that and get that out of my system, and I love it. But what I was going to say is that now my excitement is to find more affordable stuff that's awesome. that make sense? It has nothing to do with the YouTube channel. It's just you go through ebb and flows of your life and your gear and your music and your styling. And now I'm more excited. What gets me more excited than the $5,000 Sur that I know plays amazing is a $700 Schecter. That's what's getting me excited right now, is trying guitars that are as good as, like that LTA Eclipse I did. That thing was fantastic. Loved it. Couldn't find an issue with it. So, there you go. Where are we at? We're Mike? We got Mike now? Yep. We're Mike. Okay. Okay, so we're almost done. Mike says, hey, Phil, tuner recording for the 70s, made in Japan, Lotus guitar. Seem to have F-style 70s tuners, looking to avoid drilling. Okay. He's talking about tuners, the tuning keys. Okay, so tuners for the 70s, made in Japan, Lotus. Lotus guitars, if you guys, a lot of people know Lotus as they made a lot of Les Paul copy style guitars. There's all kinds. They make Strats and all the time. Lotus was like a Japanese guitar, sometimes referred to as a lawsuit guitar, but I guess there's a little fun fact. I guess there's no such thing as a lawsuit guitar. I got to hang out and have dinner with the attorney who actually represented those companies like Ibanez against Gibson and Fender when the lawsuit era happened, and he told me that technically there was never a lawsuit. It was just cease and desist, and then there was compliance. So he says, although we call them lawsuits, there was never a lawsuit, just cease and desist and compliance. It was a cease and desist order, and it was compliance by those companies to stop. And I said, well, for us laymen, we consider that being sued. I said, look, if I got a cease and desist, I would tell people I'm being sued. And he said, yeah, I understand that. But he said, from a legal standpoint, there was no ever lawsuit. So calling them lawsuit guitars is technically not correct. Thought that was a little fun. And then it was a great night. I learned way more than I ever wanted to know about this industry. And that's no exaggeration. So anyways, so back to your thing. So tuners looking to avoid drilling, cheap guitars, but bridge and pickups. So when that comes, here's the good news. You don't have to drill your guitar tuners holes. You can find the right tuners. You can. They're out there. They make every kind of tuner out there. You're going to have to do a little research online. Sadly enough, I can't, in this span of time, I can't find them for you and tell you which ones they are. But what I can tell you is they're out there, and do a little searching and you'll find it. That's what's great. I have found almost no exceptions to those right now. You can find any kind of adapter plates, tuning keys, anything. Jack Lowe says, any advice in buying lawsuit era Les Pauls? It's funny. Greco's, etc. Yeah, Greco. Or Orville's sending love from Australia. Any advice? Yeah. Don't assume because they are called, obviously, a lawsuit guitar or any of that stuff that they're good. Some of those are horrible, horrible guitars. I used to think I was crazy. I probably still do. But I mean, I really used to think I was crazy. Like, people would bring in a guitar to me to work on, and they'd be like, man, this is one of the lawsuit era, blah, blah, blah. It's like a Greco or, maybe, a Lotus or, all kinds, Harmony, whatever. And it was, and they go, these are amazing, better than Gibson ever made. And it's a piece of crap. It was a plywood body with a neck that was just junk. And it looked like it was slapped together by 12-year-olds who didn't give a crap. And I was confused. I was like, I don't understand this. This is not a good guitar. This looks like it came from Walmart. And then what I learned over time, and you need to learn over time too, and do some education. And now because Reverb has all kinds of literature on reading about this stuff. There's all kinds of websites out there you can read up on these guitars. There were some good ones and there were some junk ones. And that's the reality of it. Some of them are junk. And so you have to fight now because it's the damn internet. And there's people that are just like, no, they're all the Japanese Les Paul copies were amazing. They were not. Some of them are worse than, a Glary will blow them away in every way. They were just horrible. And I know because for years, and here's why I said I was crazy. I was dumb enough for years to fix them. It would take forever to make them playable. And then, now I know better. Like, unless the customer wants to pay me really well to do it, I won't do crap like that. It's just when you can pick up those guitars and go, look, there's no way. The best I can get this is average. So that's what I would do. Educate yourself on which ones were the good ones. Mathis says, hey, Phil, greetings from Sweden. I know you're not in love with single coil noiseless pickups. You're correct. But would you review a few? Yeah, that's definitely happening. The noiseless pickup thing's happening. I have a whole collection. I have the Fender noiseless. I have 2 different versions of the Fender noiseless pickups. I have Lace Scissors pickups here. I have the Mojo Tone noiseless pickups. I have, what else? I have DiMarzio noiseless pickups. I don't have any Duncan noiseless pickups yet. So yeah, there'll be some kind of a single coil noiseless shootout with the guitar. So there you go. And there. Okay. Michael says, have you ever had 2 guitars, same brand, same pickups, sound different to some degree? Absolutely. Absolutely. Many times. And I currently do now. I currently have duplicate guitars, same pickups, same weight, same wood, same neck, same everything. Sound different. I've done everything. I've set the height of the bridge. I've set the heights of the pickups. I've put the same strings on. Slightly different. Now, here's where it goes awry. Could I take those 2 guitars and do a video showing you that they sound slightly different? I'm like, listen. And you'd go, and like me, you'd go, oh yes, the other one sounds a little more mid-rangey. And I could also make a video going, look, they almost sound the same, see? And you would agree with that too, because it's subtle. But yeah, so it happens. That's the magic of it, man. That's what's great. That's why I'm a little afraid of doing that, duplicating my own personal guitars. So if I have a guitar I like and getting a second backup, a lot of times it's not the same. So, and what happens a lot of times, I think we talked about this once before, this is what happens to most of us. I buy one and I love the way it looks. I love the color. I love everything about it. And then I get another one and it's ugly, but it plays and sounds better. So that happens all the time too. Steve D says, rediscovered guitar 2 years ago. Your site has been invaluable. Playing, tuning, setup, buying, etc. Thanks for all your work. Thank you so much for the compliment. First, because it's nice and polite of you, but also it's good to hear, man, that you were playing, started playing guitar 2 years ago or rediscovered it. It's great. Adding music to your life is the best thing you could ever do for you and your family and your friends and anybody. I really believe that. There are a lot of people out there that are like me. Literally, I would be dead without music, and no exaggeration, and I would be a different person if I didn't have music. And I love that when somebody finds something like that, whether it's music or something else. I love when they find something that's like literally, like it's my core being. I can't live without it. It's how I live. It's how I think. It's how I process information. Felicity, you're the final one. Felicity says, hey, Phil, what are your thoughts on Korean-made Spector basses? So I love Spector basses. Obviously, I like Warwick, and Warwick does the licensing to do the Spector bass. Spector, of course, makes them in the Czech Republic, and then they have a Euro one, right? Is that the Czech Republic one too? I played a lot of the Czech Republic ones. I played a couple of the USA made ones from back in the day, and a couple of the Korean ones, and they're all really good. So for me, I have it easy. Here's why. I only care about how heavy the damn thing is. So let me preface this in a perfect, absolute way when it comes to Spector bass. If you were to hand me 3 Spector basses identical, in other words, identical in the way that they looked, but one was made in the USA, one was made in Czech Republic, and one was made in Korea, and literally the made in Korea one was 8 pounds, and the USA one was 12 pounds, and the Czech Republic was 11 pounds. I'd buy the Korean one every time. I'd buy the lightest one. I just don't want the heavy bass around my neck. My Warwick is about as heavy as I can take it, and I had them sort and do everything they can, and it's 9... It's 9 pounds, 4 ounces. Remember I told you I weighed every instrument? Yeah, Warwick. See? Warwick. 9 pounds, 4 ounces. That's the most I can tolerate from that bass. I feel like that's heavy for me, for a bass. And that's actually pretty light for a bass. But so that would be my answer to that. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with me this week. As always, it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys have some cool stuff planned for the weekend. If not, make sure that your plan is to play guitar, because obviously it's what we do here. And on that note, I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys so much. Until next week, Thank you for your time, and know your gear.